good morning. I'm Brent Adams here with your Rural Strong Morning Ag Report for this Monday, March 11th. Leading off the headlines this morning, there were no big surprises in the latest round of USDA crop forecasts. More on that from USDA Radio's Gary Crawford.
USDA's World Ag Supply and Demand forecast on Friday had some interesting information, including another reduction in the prospects for the Brazilian soybean crop.
But I wouldn't say, in general, there are big shocks to this report.
USDA's chief economist Seth Meyer says it was along the lines of what was expected.
I think that there's a lot of interesting changes within this report, kind of, making some changes in Argentina or Brazil with respect to, corn and soybeans, and cutting global production for soybeans a little bit this month, and cutting corn production a little bit this month as well, too, on a global level.
Right after the report was issued, corn and bean futures did go up slightly.
You're up a penny on corn. You're up 6 cents on beans.
But Meyer says he does not think this report would be enough to prompt a U.S. producer to change his or her plans for spring planting. Gary Crawford for the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
Well, Friday's USDA supply and demand forecast created a small ripple in corn and soybean markets. Here with more again is Gary Crawford.
On Friday, right after USDA released its new global ag supply and demand forecast projecting somewhat lower supplies of corn and soybeans, futures prices did make small gains.
Not insignificant, but not a large change.
USDA's chief economist Seth Meyer says soybeans gained about 0.5%.
Some of that might be a shrinking of the Brazil crop. But at the same time, when we look at overall global soybean carryout stocks, we did trim carryout stocks 2 million metric tons. And so the market could very well be taking a look at that and saying, hey, that's worth 6 or 7 cents.
Meanwhile, the report bumped corn futures up about 0.25%. Gary Crawford reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
And USDA Chief Economist Seth Meyer says Ukraine has had remarkable success in exporting its grain.
I think we continue to see the Ukrainians push out more wheat and more corn than we had previously estimated for the year. And I'm guessing we're upwards now about 4 million metric tons a month, which is a pretty good pace. And I'm talking about as an average, right? That's a pretty good pace considering where we were under the Black Sea Grain Initiative and the fact that we have no agreement now. The Ukrainians have been successful in moving that product.
Well, U.S. pork exports raced to another great start in the new year. January USDA data shows exports during the month were led by another strong performance in Mexico, the number one market for American pork. However, pork also made gains in other Western Hemisphere and Asia-Pacific destinations. Pork exports reached 241,424 metric tons in January, 6% higher than a year ago. Export value rose 6% to $682.1 million. Mexico's demand for U.S. pork is so spectacular that it can overshadow some of the other great success stories, says U.S. Meat Export Federation President and CEO Dan Hallstrom. U.S. beef exports were slightly behind last year's volume, but export value trended significantly higher. Beef exports totaled 99,764 metric tons, 1% lower than last year. Beef export value rose 9% to $763.8 million. January exports of U.S. lamb totaled 303 metric tons, up 28% from a year ago. Well, the House Agriculture Committee laid out a roadmap to relieve labor shortages that have seriously impacted America's farmers and ranchers. The Agriculture Labor Working Group released its final report on how to improve the H-2A guest worker program. It includes more than 20 recommendations to streamline the program and make labor more affordable for farmers. American Farm Bureau Federation President Zippy Duvall said we're losing American farms rapidly, and there's no question the broken workforce system is partly to blame. While the working group recommendations don't address all the labor challenges facing farmers, they do offer needed solutions such as streamlining the recruiting and hiring of H-2A employees. They also want to expand the H-2A program to meet year-round needs, recommend paying employees based on duties performed during the majority of the day, and reform wage calculation standards to provide stability in farm worker pay rates. The full committee report is available at agriculture.house.gov. Well, producers have until March 29th to enroll acreage in USDA's General Conservation Reserve Program. Here to tell us more is USDA Radio's Rod Bain.
There is quick turnaround time for producers wishing to enroll acreage into USDA's latest Conservation Reserve Program general sign-up.
Enrollment for our general CRP is open until March 29th.
Undersecretary for Farm Production and Conservation Robert Body says regarding available acreage for total CRP enrollment,
Cap is 27.5 million acres. We're about 2.5 million acres, probably a little bit less than that, shy of the cap right now.
interested producers are encouraged to contact their local Farm Service Agency office for more information about CRP acreage enrollment, and not just for the general sign-up.
We have other ways that acres will come into the program through our continuous enrollments where producers in certain designated areas can come forward and sign up, and then we'll have our grassland CRP.
The Undersecretary adds this latest general CRP sign-up includes a climate-smart practice incentive. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
You can keep up with the latest in the world of agriculture by subscribing to the Tractors and Troubadours podcast from Rural Strong Media. Each week, I bring you agriculture industry newsmakers, hot-button industry issues, educational features, and the best in traditional country music. The Tractors and Troubadours podcast can be found at ruralstrongmedia.com or wherever you get your podcasts. We also invite you to join us daily on Rural Strong Radio, our 24/7 streaming radio station, found at ruralstrongmedia.com or the Live 365 streaming radio app for your mobile device. Each day, we bring you our award-winning agriculture programming, as well as the best in traditional country music, mixed in with a little bluegrass, western swing, southern rock, and inspirational music. Again, the place to find Rural Strong Radio is ruralstrongmedia.com or the Live 365 streaming radio app. We're portable, so take us with you everywhere you go while you're working on the farm or ranch. Let's get through the workday together. Well, I'll be back again tomorrow with another Rural Strong Morning Ag Report here on Steve Shetler Media. Make it a great day, everybody.